I like to open the meeting today or tonight, and it is, I believe, 6:35. Let me write that down. It's a public meeting. It's posted in accordance with the provisions of the MGL Chapter 38, 20B. The proceeding will be videotaped and rebroadcast by Area 58. Tonight, we have the pleasure of, I have on my agenda, it says Bob Delholm, but the other partner is George McLaughlin, and we appreciate, George, you getting on as well. So we'll open the floor to you. You have the whole entire floor. We will not jump in and ask any questions until you're all done. And then if you don't mind, then we can ask the questions. We'll just take notes.
Sure.
Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. As I understand it, the board wanted an update on where the development stands at this time. And I'm happy to report, as you know, that we obtained definitive subdivision approval in February of this year. And so the next step, now that we have an approved road, is to go out and get quotes to build the road, which we're in the process of doing. Also, we wanted to get the customers, tenants or people who are interested in buying property in the park. And I'm happy to report that we have 2 local businesses that are interested in buying a couple of lots and building approximately 700,000 square feet of space. So we're permitted for 1,770,000. We have interest in 700,000, so we're negotiating with them now about the terms pursuant to which they would purchase. Obviously, their purchase will be contingent upon them getting permits to build their particular facilities. But as I say, it's 2 separate users, a total square footage of 700,000 square feet. So that's good for Bob and me, because that gives us the money we need to build the road. It's going to be a very expensive road. And, knock on wood, if we can land these 2 folks, we'll build the road. And then if you can start a park like this, having sold, almost half of your build out, you're in good shape. We'll continue to look and build, and maybe, I'd be interested in building some warehouse distribution space myself. Because one thing that's very unique about this site, I think, is, as you folks know, on Cape Cod, where I also own some industrial property, you can't build over 10,000 square feet without getting Cape Cod Commission permits. And the Cape Cod Commission is very difficult, and there's a big demand, I think, for logistic warehouses near Cape Cod, so people can get their products to the Cape. People are constantly coming to me saying, "Oh, I'd love for you to build a 100,000 square foot warehouse for us, a 50,000 square foot warehouse," to which I say, good luck. It's just very difficult to get through the Cape Cod Commission. So that's basically where things stand with Bob and me. We've also been working with the North Carver Water District to straighten out their problems. I've had recent meetings with various town officials and Tom Bott. As you know, the plant is down right now, and they're buying water from Middleborough on an emergency basis. But Middleborough is right up against its permit, and they're looking to get permission from the DEP to get a larger permit. I think they're permitted now to withdraw about 1,700,000 gallons, and they're looking to bump it up to, I believe, about 2,300,000, but they don't know if they're going to get that permit. So what I helped the town do recently is file a Mass Works grant application, and the first step is to study the plant. I identify the issues and come up with a solution. And we've really kind of already done that. The plant, as you may know, suffers from several problems. Number one, there's too much manganese in the water, and it seems like that hasn't been dealt with properly, and it's clogged the membranes, and people were getting brownish water and what have you. And then the other problem is there's no pressure in the system. We had our engineer, on-site engineering, come up with a proposal to the town, and the proposal was $40,000 to study the system and come up with a solution. Now we know two things that have to be done. There's going to have to be a water tank put in for water pressure, and probably a separate fire tank put in for fire suppression. Above and beyond that, right now, the North Carver Water District is an ultraviolet system, and Middleborough is a chlorine system. So you can't mix those two systems because they're just incompatible. So one of the things I asked on-site to look at is converting the North Carver Water District to a chlorinated water system so that the two systems were compatible, because we have compatible pipes. We have Middleborough pipes in North Carver. We have North Carver Water District's pipes in North Carver, but because they have two different treatment systems now, we can't combine the water. And so it just seems to make infinite sense, if we can, to convert the plant to a chlorinated plant, so that if maybe there's problems with Middleborough and they have to buy water on an emergency basis from North Carver, we can supply them with water, and conversely, they can supply us with water, and we can have North Carver Water District and Middleborough water running through the same pipes, because they're both chlorinated. Right now, that's not an option. And so that's basically where things stand, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions you have.
George, the first thing I want to let you know is that this is a public meeting, and in our audience tonight is Robert Belbin, who is the newly elected and currently the only member of the North Carver Water District. So
yeah, I saw Commissioner Belvin's first meeting. It was covered by the local channel. I watched him, and I agree with everything he said in that meeting. I thought he really took the bull by the horns, and it was kind of overwhelming from his standpoint, because he just went right in there and did what anybody who was trying to straighten things out, just kind of took an inventory of all the problems and made note of all the problems, and I think he's taking the bull by the horn, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to help him in the North Carver Water District, and I think on-site would be a great assistant to him in his work.
On-site, is that?
Yeah, it's on-site engineering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the name of the firm. The fellow at on-site engineering, the actual engineer's name is David Formato, and he had studied the water system on behalf of Hillwood, so he was thoroughly familiar with the water system and the problems and what needed to be done to straighten out some of the problems. And he has a whole proposal, which you can get from the town. His proposal was incorporated into the Mass Works grant application, which Tom Bott filed on June 5th.
all right, Tom is in the audience as well.
Yeah, okay, so Tom and Commissioner Belvin, I'm sure, have spoken, and, maybe they have questions or want to make comments or whatever, but we're all in the same boat.
Okay, so let's see, do you have any more? How about you, Jim?
I was only going to ask about that.
Just-
What do you think the timing is for the lots that you're considering?
Well, excuse me, I'd expect to have signed purchase and sale agreements if we can put a deal together within a month and a half. It's a complicated deal. But this is where it gets, it's pretty straightforward. Then they'll have a period of due diligence. They're looking for like 3 or 4 months to review all of our studies, and we've studied every square inch of that property. We've solved our DEP, our hazardous waste problem there. That's all been resolved with the DEP. And so after they've satisfied themselves that our property is everything we say it is, then they will start to pursue permits for their buildings and their uses. That would take 3 or 4 months, I would think. And so we'd be ready to go in the fall. I mean, what I'd like to do, with all things being equal, is maybe start construction of the road in the fall. Details to follow.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, well.
All right. I do have comments, but why don't we go to
Bob.
let Bob speak,
Okay,
because
sure.
we were just talking about water.
Okay,
Hello. Thank you very much. I appreciate to be able to speak and ask questions. I agree with some of the things you said. I have some issues because you said you work with the North Carver Water District, and I've been on since May 15th, and I haven't talked to you at all.
Well, I said I was working with the town, not with the North Carver Water District. I talked to Mr. Palmieri before you got on, just to get my head on straight, and then I've been dealing with Tom Bott because the deadline to file the application with the Mass Works for the Mass Works grant was June 5th. So, I mean, my point of contact in the town was the town administrator and Tom Bott.
Okay, and then I haven't got a copy of that Mass Works grant. If it's on behalf of the North Carver Water District,
No, it's on behalf of the town. Tom, I don't know, I'll let Tom deal with that.
Okay, so next is, I do agree with converting over to a green sand and chlorine-based system. The cost of that, we don't know yet. The engineers have to go through that. There's $200,000 in our budget for engineering plans to do that right now. I like the time frame that you're talking. Looking at the plan and talking to other people, it's going to be close to 3 to 6 months before we can get that up and running and be able to dialed in to have nice clean water coming out, because the plant can produce good clean water, healthy, reliable water with the system that we have. I've seen the reports of it. The last report I got, the iron and the manganese issues were taken care of, and it was coming in below the federal mandates for it. So, like I said, the plant does work when it's running and it's maintained appropriately. Now, with the urban renewal plan, there's going to have some discussions between the North Carver Water District. The town is a separate entity from the North Carver Water District. So that's one of my plans, is to separate the two, that we have our own town council, and we have our own ability to run the district as a separate entity, but still using some town services, but paying for those town services that are being utilized. That's my plan. I'll find out next week who I have as my other two people, if they agree with it or disagree with it. I like the vision that you're saying right now. I'd like to be included in a lot more of these discussions that have to be done, because it has to be a joint effort between the North Carver Water District, the town of Carver, you, the RDA, Middleborough, we all have to be kind of in this together and work together.
I agree. I agree.
And then there's a huge expense for the town for our bond that we have going forward, and how we handle that, and how we handle water. So I did talk to Joanna today about some visions that I may have for the future, and I'm not just talking a few months or a couple of years, I'm talking 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now, when we're all long gone, that we protect the water, because the biggest resource this town has is water, and it has to be protected. So thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Sure.
I had a question. I guess, how would I get in touch with you, Commissioner? Can you arrange to give your cell phone number to Tom Bott, and could I get that from Tom? Because I'd really like to engage directly with you if I could.
Okay, so you can go online, it's robert.belbin@carverma.gov, okay? And, yeah, Joanna has my phone number, I think Savory has my phone number probably.
Probably.
I mean, I put it out there freely to anybody call me. It is what it is. All right?
Okay, so I'll send an email and I'll get your cell phone number and we can get together, because I'd like to hear your ideas, because, you know, we're all kind of joined at the hip. And we want to get this solved, and I have a lot of ideas also, and as I say, I enjoyed watching your first meeting, and I share your frustration, but, you know, you seem to have a can-do attitude, and I have that, so if you can put a man on the moon, you can straighten this out. It's just a question of rolling up your sleeves and finding money and straightening it out.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Okay. My question or questions are, you say you have two potential buyers/customers utilizing 700,000 square feet of building space across both users.
Yes.
How does that fit in with the definitive subdivision plan that you've already presented? Are you going to have to divide again to do that? Because if I recall...
Yeah, we're going to have to fine tune that. I mean, we'll have to fine tune it, but you always fine tune definitive subdivision plans.
Okay.
You know, there's always, you have to cut off a lot and jiggle this and jiggle that. It's going to be basically the same subdivision plan with, you know, I'll call them minor adjustments.
Okay, because if I recall, you had 3 relatively small lots and 1 very large one. Is that...
Well, small, medium, large, that's how I looked at it.
Yeah, there was, no, there's actually,
Off the road was small.
Around the circle.
yeah, there was 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 4 lots.
Right.
There were 3 small lots and 1 large lot.
Right.
And I think what's going to happen is that large lot is going to get further subdivided for one of the users.
Okay.
And so what we're doing, Sam, we just, you know, my attitude is looking for that 1 million square foot user is like tuna fishing. I like to fish. You know, you go out tuna fishing, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. But when I fish, I like to catch fish, so I'd rather put stripers and blues in the boat than waiting for that tuna that may or may not come, okay? So, and these are far from stripers and blues. I mean, these are good-sized tenants, so I want to be nimble and be ready to react what the market wants. And what I've found in discussions over the past 6 months is there are a lot of successful privately owned companies in the area that don't want to be tenants. They want to own their own facility. And if they own their own facility, obviously that comes with a lot of tax benefits, and it makes their business a lot more valuable because they own the building. They own the building, they own the business, and you know, you're not a tenant. So I think there's, I think there are a fair amount of, I'll call them users out there like that.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't asking because of, you know, expecting that we'd have another 1.2 million building. I was trying to figure out how it would work with the lots the way they were, but you answered my question.
Yep.
The other question I have, and you may not know an answer, I don't know how this works. When we were working with Hillwood, and they were going to go basically with the whole facility with 1.8 million square feet. We had the community agreement that helped Carver in a lot of ways to make sure that the residents were protected and also that they had everything they needed to in case of an emergency up at the business park. With the subdivision and smaller tenants and different, multiple tenants, how does that work? How does is that in the permitting process with the town? Is that going through the process that the owners will have to go through to get whatever they need?
Well, I think I understand the question. In other words, we've gone from the the mega building, the 1.2, 1.5, 50-foot high building, and you had a community agreement that went with that. Now that we're going to smaller buildings, what effect will that have on the community agreement?
Yeah, well, yes, I imagine that it won't. I mean, obviously, Hillwood was footing the bill for a lot of things that were indicated that would be needed for the facility that was potentially going to be built. So, with the relatively smaller footprint of these things, I'm just wondering, the needs may or may not be the same from the standpoint of emergency services, but how do we get there? How do we get the town what it needs with smaller buildings and individual owners?
I think what we have to do is we have to take it a project at a time and look at the buildings and see what the issues are and just deal with it then.
Okay. All right. I had a feeling that was probably the answer, but I just wanted to put it out there.
Right.
Okay, that's all I have.
I just have, well, I'm not really tongue-tied, but tonight is really, I'm overwhelmed. But anyway, I remember the permitting part upstairs at the planning board. They talked about building the road. They talked about putting the pipes in, but they would only go so far. I don't remember what so far meant. You're going to build the road. Are you going to adjust? You're just going to come in from the main road and that's it?
No, what we'll do is we'll build the whole road. We'll put the pipes in. We'll put all the infrastructure in, a power, everything. Because it'll be, and that's why we've been waiting to get users so that it was economically feasible to build this road. This is a very expensive road. And, that big hill is there in the front that we have to take down. And so we're not going to piecemeal the road. That was one thing, and you have a good memory, Joanna. That was one thing we talked about is maybe developing the road in phases.
Right.
But I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to see if I could attract users so that I could get enough money to build the whole road and just put it to bed. So that's our game plan. Build the whole road, put all the pipe in the ground, put the infrastructure in there, and done.
There was, earlier, they were talking about gas.
Yeah.
Did you pursue that to find out about the gas?
Can't remember. I think my memory is there's adequate gas. The real issue wasn't gas. The real issue was electrical power.
Okay.
And Eversource, basically we've cut a deal with Eversource. They're putting a couple of new, and I may be misstating this a little bit, but basically they are upgrading the system in Middleborough. I think it's about 3/4 of a mile from our property, maybe a mile. And so they said, we'd be happy to bring all the power down to your site when we're doing this work.
Oh.
But you're going to have to guarantee us a certain amount of electricity usage so that it's worth our while. And so then I went out and found these users, and they are going to use enough electricity to make it worth Eversource's while. And so that's the next thing. I'm gonna do, one of the first things I'm gonna do is tell Eversource after I have the deal with these two folks signed, that one of the first things I'm gonna do is go to Eversource and say, all right, here are the users, this is their electrical demand, where do I sign on the dotted line so that you can start to design the new power and bring it down to our site. So that was really the big issue, power.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Good.
Hello,
Yes.
my name is Roger Noblette. I'm not actually there, but I'm on the phone, George, and I wanted to address and ask a few questions if I might.
Sure.
The previous plan, the impact studies done by Hillwood on the town, when they're modified at the volume we were speaking with 1.8 being built out and utilized, since you're partitioning it off obviously to smaller customers, and when are they going to be affected by any impact studies as far as like highway traffic, et cetera? I know that you had mentioned that you might want to throw up a warehouse building potentially for future to be able to feed the Cape, and that would most likely be through Route 44. Then we're talking 58, and we're talking about 58 is more town highway traffic leading to Route 3, et cetera, and other areas. Have you guys factored that in, and is any of that factored into what was originally done by the impact study in the beginning?
Yeah, the impact study in the beginning, I'll give you this answer, but I want to give it with a caveat because this is really not my kind of responsibility in the development. It's more of my partner's, Bob's. But when we designed this facility and we designed the new access road and the lights and everything, when we had obtained our MEPA approvals, it was designed to handle something like, and Tom Bott, or maybe one of you folks will remember, I just can't, it was like 4,000 car trips a day because we were talking about a mega warehouse distribution center, an Amazon like. And so it's been designed to those standards. Now that we're making it more of a conventional industrial subdivision, our traffic won't hit anywhere near those thresholds. So it's really kind of over-designed, if you will.
Okay, that's good.
The roads are over-designed, the access road, the interior roads, all over-designed.
The other question was, you have the customers that are going to be there. You're going to have left over about 300,000 square feet, plus or minus a little bit, right? And I understand your big picture. A good selling point is to have it all designed, looking good, so customers can come in and see. Are you going to leave the undeveloped portion as undeveloped, or are you going to put buildings in place just to make it size? And doesn't that limit then who can to be a customer if you build it out?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't build it out. I wouldn't spec it, particularly in this market. We have a large area, those cranberry bogs, that, and that's, I want to say, 40, 50 acres. Our plan is to leave that obviously undeveloped. And really what I want to do, and Bob wants to do, is develop I want to develop the best park around. I mean, I want to have beautiful, bucolic setting. I want to have great tenants, customers, etc. And we'll just have to see. So we're permitted for 1,770,000 square feet. We have about 700,000 that we have spoken for now if we put a deal together with these two folks. So that will leave 1,070,000 square feet of potential space left. And we'll just have to see what the market brings us. I'm building the road, we'll do the landscaping, we'll have everything. The table will be set, let me say it that way. I don't know, and I'm gonna have half the dinner guests there. I don't know who else is coming to dinner, and so I'll plan accordingly. But I'm not gonna be putting up 100,000, 200,000 square foot spec buildings, because I think that's just a prescription for economic disaster. But I have a lot of ideas, and one of them is the Cape. I mean, there's just a huge need for the Cape to be served. So, I've been working feverishly. You'll have to excuse me, my mouth's still swollen from the surgery. But I've been working hard in this kind of crazy economy to get these two users, and we have them. And I'm a big believer in, hey, build it and they will come. We have two people in there, hopefully, and we build out a nice park, and it's well located, and Carver's a good place to do business, and I think it's going to be a success.
So that's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. One last thing. The benefit of selling the property to these users as opposed to leasing it. Obviously, selling it to them directly means you get probably more money up front to be able to move on with your further plans. But does that, as the park was supposed to be like a leased property thing, is there any negatives to the town on having particular businesses owning that land as opposed to leasing it?
Well, the park wasn't supposed to be leased. It was just a park. We never got into the nitty gritty of ownership or whatever. And I think, I think it's better for the town to have owners, because if you own, then, and these are both very successful, substantial businesses, then you are really planted roots in the town, and you're not going anyplace. I mean, if you sign on a 5-year lease and your business goes sour or the economy goes sour, that could be a vacant building. But if you have a successful, proven track record as a successful company, and you're investing a lot of money in Carver, I just think that leads to good things. I think it leads to more taxes. One of these users will be paying a huge amount of excise taxes to the town, so that would be a real positive. And I just think if you're an owner versus a tenant, you've committed to the town of Carver, you've committed to this location, and then, hey, do you get involved in the Chamber of Commerce? Do you get involved making donations to the town? I think personally, no one's asked me that question before, but I think it's a pretty easy answer that it's better to have an owner than just a tenant.
Okay. The reason I said it is because there's been so much argument over this land for so long already. And when we were, I guess, going back and forth with Hillwood, people would argue one point, and but when somebody's an owner, I was just curious if there was, against leasing property and owning the property, if they have a greater argument against adhering to any town policy that might have been put in place. I don't know if anyone wants to expand on that, but it was just a thought in my mind. I wanted to get some input on it.
Yeah, I think if you're an owner or a tenant, if the town has policies and laws and regulations in place, you have to follow them. But I just think it's better. Hey, it's better for me. I'd rather lease. Okay, I'd rather lease. I'd rather build and lease. But I suppose if you really think about it, and again, you're asking some questions I've kind of half thought about. Maybe the best park is a park where you have a balance. You have half owners and half renters, so that you really
people don't want just pick up and go at the first sign of trouble. They're kind of locked to the land.
Right, and now you have someone who's there who owns a big building and they want to expand. Fine. Here, I'll build a building for you. You need another 100,000 square feet. I'll rent it to you.
That's perfect. That's good. Hopefully they can expand on the land you've already got sectioned off.
Right.
So they're not going to be all connected together. There's going to be a nice development.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, believe me, I have a lot of pride in everything I own, and so does Bob. And this is going to be a nice development. I mean, we're putting a lot of time and a lot of money here, and and it's really been a great partnership with the board and everybody in town. I mean, Carver's a great town to do business in, and we've been here for the long haul and spent a lot of money, and, you know, hey, you gotta roll with the blows in life, okay? The economy takes a dip. We thought Hillwood was gonna be the answer, they weren't, but so what? You soldier on, you get it done.
I just think that the part about ownership that's nice is that you have somebody who comes in and puts some skin in the game, because they're going to invest in the
Right.
property. They're also going to want to, for the most part, they'll want to keep it up. They're also going to employ local people. I think there's a lot of benefits to having ownership, and I don't disagree with you when you look at the longer term plan of what your development looks like, whether it's going to be a mix of ownership or leasing, but particularly in the beginning, I think it's not a bad idea to have the ownership that's there, because I think that brings that extra, not only are they buying the piece of land from you, but then they're investing in a building and their infrastructure and everything else that goes along with it.
Good points, glad I asked.
And also, Bob and I are not toll brothers, okay? We're just two guys who invest in real estate, so we're nimble. So everybody else just wants to build a building and rent it. And I'm happy to do that if that's what the marketplace wants. But as I started by saying, I'm finding there are a lot of businesses out there that just don't want to rent, and for obvious reasons. You know, the rent comes up, the rent's always getting jacked up. If you build a successful business, but you don't own your business location, it makes the business less valuable. And so I have found, at least at these two occasions, there are a lot of people out there with successful businesses who want to own their own warehouse or their own factory. And so, you know, my attitude is fine. I'd be happy to sell it out to all owners, whatever the market gives me. I want to build my road, I want to make some money, and I want to build something I can be proud of.
I have a question based on what you're just talking about. As you get each tenant, potentially two, will you and Bob go to the planning boards with the permits? You'll still have skin in the game? They won't be left alone to do all what they need to do, whatever that is?
Oh yeah, no, Bob and I, what they've both said to us is, hey, we want you to work with us.
Okay.
Because you know all the folks in town. And I told them, yeah, I said, Carver's a great place to do business with. And so I found all the boards to be very reasonable. And, you know, if the developer's reasonable, the town's reasonable. So, and I think you're really going to like these users. These are, I wish I could tell you, I can't, but I can tell you as soon as the deals are signed. But you're gonna like these users. These are good users.
Okay, and the other thing, I'm going to shift it a little bit, but does this water issue have anything to do where MEP is going to say, wait a minute, there's a big change here, you're going to have to go out, or not MEPA, but the environmental, whatever that place is called, DHCD, you're going to have to go out and have them come back in, and you have to report to them that we've had like a little bump in the road, so to speak?
No, they won't. They won't care. The DEP's, their only involvement is going to be when you straighten out the North Carver Water District. You know, you're going to have to go to the DEP to get, and I forget what they technically call them, but your water withdrawal permits, and they're going to have to give you permits to change the plant around, and as Commissioner Belvin said, to if it makes sense to change it to a chlorinated plant, etc. Once they bless the plant and give the permits, you know, it's all good.
Oh, okay.
It's all good. So they won't be bothering us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too far away from where we first started with water, with a tank and a tie into the North Carver Water District. That's been part of it all along, pretty much.
But right.
Yeah.
So you won't need a
Right.
tower, you just might need, obviously, less usage than you anticipated? We won't need that 100-foot tower, whatever it was?
Oh, no, you're going to need that. And,
Oh, okay.
and one of the ideas that I wanted to talk to Commissioner Belvin about is the town should be applying for Mass Works grants for the tower, for federal money. There's a lot of money out there for water systems.
Okay.
And so, you know, you may want to have the tower right next to the plant, because you're going to pressurize the system so that you can use it for potable water and also for, and you'll need another tank for fire suppression. But if we're all going to go through this exercise and the North Carver Water District is going to be straightened out, then, you know, let's, like the commissioner said, let's straighten it out for the next 20, 40, 50, 100 years. Let's really build a robust system that stands the test of time. It was just, and the commissioner noted this, I don't know what happened, but it just, people weren't paying attention to it, and it just fell into disrepair, and hey, things happen, you know? It happens in the public sector, it happens in the private sector, but, you know, the commissioner's taking the bull by the horns, and I'm happy to help them any way I can, and let's get at it, you know? Let's straighten it out.
So,
And we can straighten it out.
yeah, you just mentioned grant, a lot of money available, dollars for the tower. I just remember that Hillwood was going to build the tower, and $2.5 million or whatever it was, they signed a contract, and then they were going to turn it over to the ownership of the North Carver Water District. What are your plans? Are you anticipating the town to do their own grant writing?
No, I anticipate, like we did for the access road, I anticipate helping the town file a Mass Works application, grants, et cetera, and I think we can get federal and state money to straighten that out.
It's been Tom Bott so far, I don't know officially. Is he the grant writer? We don't have a grant writer in our town.
Well, Tom and I and my son wrote the grant application for this past one, but we'll, you know, obviously it was quick and it was only $40,000, but we'll hire, and we can talk about that. I mean, Bob and I can donate the money or whatever to hire a grant writer, so it's you know, a top-notch application.
Right, super, okay, that was really on my mind.
Yeah.
Bob, are you all set?
Oh, I'm just taking it all in.
Okay. You'll have your work cut out for you. I hope you have some other people to work with you on a board.
Next Tuesday, we should be voting it in.
Okay.
At the select board meeting. Right now, there's 4 applicants, maybe 5. 4 I know guaranteed applicants for the 2 positions.
Okay.
And
You should have, what, 4 people on that board?
There's 3 commissioners.
3 commissioners?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And the only thing that I've been doing is getting estimates on how to repair everything.
Well, that's important.
So just the health and safety aspects of it, not the actual plan.
Okay.
The plan's just a bigger,
Well, it sounds like we're on the road. It sounds like it's the right path. It sounds like Route 44 is ahead of the game. That's great. And they have a vision, and let's hope it happens.
we just need communication, better communication.
Right.
Right. I think it is, and he's not afraid to entertain any of us or all of us. I know we can't be in all these meetings, but we can delegate, that's for sure, and we will. We will.
Yeah, it's my number 1 priority. I mean, I'm looking forward to working with the commissioner, because when you're developing property, when you're investing in property, it's like what's the problem of the moment? You know, I'm always putting out a fire here or there, and originally it was water was fine and power was the issue, so I worked with Eversource and did a deal together with them, and power's all set, and then water becomes a problem. But again, you know,
I'm gonna-
you know this, we've spent a lot of time together. I mean, I roll up my sleeves and get it done.
Right.
And, you know, Belvin's doing the same thing. I was very impressed with his first hearing, and he had taken a lot of photographs, and he had an endless checklist of to-do things, and it sounds like he's already picking them off. And I'm every day I make my to-do list, and I'm picking them off every day. And number one on my hit list tomorrow is to touch bases with him to see how we can work together. Tomorrow, this is George McLaughlin Repair Week. I had my mouth operated on today, and I'm having going to the skin doctor to have something removed tomorrow. That's too much information, but as soon as I get done with that, I'll be in touch with the commissioner.
Oh, my God. Bob, go ahead.
I'm in for my 60,000-mile checkup.
Bob's got a,
Just one thing before. Wednesdays, I do not answer my phone. I babysit that day, so if you can call me on Thursday or Friday,
I'll call you Thursday, Bob. I'm going to be licking my wounds tomorrow, so.
don't worry about it. Just like I said.
All
Days
right.
are out. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Good,
Thanks.
good.
good, I guess,
Thanks.
we good?
All right, yeah,
Yeah.
1 second, Bob.
Bob?
Yes, sir.
Before you go, and I'm sorry, the work that you're doing up there is on the conservation
Yes.
agenda tomorrow. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah,
in case-
I'll try to make it.
All right, you don't have to.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about it, but if you want to come in and talk about what
No,
you're
that's
planning.
fine. That's fine.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, sorry about
Good.
that.
Bob, thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
See ya.
you. All right, I guess we're good to go. Anybody else?
Nope,
Joan?
I think we're good.
Good, we're
Thank you,
good.
George.
George, we thank you, and say hi to Bob, too.
Yeah, sleep on
I
the,
will, and it's good to see you folks, and onward and upward.
yeah, sleep
luck
on
tomorrow.
the right side of your face tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right,
Take
good night.
care,
Bye.
sign off. Well, that was good.
All right,
That was good. Well, he's got some people coming.
okay.
Roger, you still with us?
Roger?
Yes, I'm here. I just had to click the speaker button.
Okay.
Somebody leaves, it does that.
Okay.
Oh, is that what it's doing?
Yeah.
All right, somebody
Lady
else
left
was on, I
before
don't know
and
who
they
it
left.
was, it's being recorded. Bob, Roger, thanks for coming on this important meeting.
Absolutely.
And-
I think what's great is happening.
Yeah.
That they've finally got some customers, something's gonna start happening. I just wanna make sure that we, while everything's going on and plans are moving, that nobody gives us any more stop signs or no more problems come to bear.
Right, right.
Well, it seems to me that there are going to be more players involved in the game now than there were when it was Hillwood.
Yeah.
Hillwood's and their team was kind of dealing with everybody else, and that I guess has fallen to Route 44, but I think that there's going to be more involvement from our standpoint, and certainly, George listed off the number of people that have to be involved with, Tom Bott, the North Carver Water District, the Middleborough Water District, us. There's some changes that were evident. I mean, one of the last things he mentioned was moving the water tower to closer to the pump. So that puts it on the Cole property as opposed to being on his property where it was going to be originally.
Oh, thanks for saying that. I
So,
oh, my God.
that brings up some interesting issues or potential issues on its own, since the little footprint of the pump house is in the middle of a conservation district. The Cole property being conservation. So, and I'm not saying nothing can be done about that, but their footprint is their footprint currently, and that's as much as they can work on without getting other permissions.
Well, I think a good benefit, like as he discussed, is that the ownership, while I was questioning it, will offer this park credibility. The fact that the people are actually truly investing in it, and they're going to be there a long time.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, going to stabilize some of the other
Yeah.
side issues, that it's not going to be tenants in and out. It's going to be some concrete brick and mortar people that are laying ground to be there for 30 years plus, whatever.
Yeah, those are
And I
the,
think that's going to help it along.
yeah, those are the two words that I was going to use, but we got sidetracked. But it's credibility and stability. And what that's going to do is that's going to help George attract future tenants to fill the other million square feet. So,
That's great.
But, it's, a lot of it's the same, but a lot of it's different. A lot of it is going to be starting from square one. Again, he mentioned the fire tower, water for fire suppression. He didn't mention where that should go, but I would think it would have to go in the park itself, because that's where you're going to need the water to put out anything that happens.
Yeah, closer to that other 1 million square feet.
Yep, and again, there were a lot of things that were promised by Hillwood, had that deal gone through, and, we don't know what's being built yet, but anything that goes up to that 65-foot height, we don't have the equipment in town to take care of that.
Even today on the 40,
Right.
even today on the 40, so.
Right. But, those types of things are going to have to be looked at again, and that's going to have to be part of a bigger discussion that's going to involve a lot of different people. And we're going to get back to our emergency services people again with what their needs. And that all happens when they come in front of the site review board. But, it's the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
Smaller scale. On
A smaller scale, but still the same.
The complexity is there,
Yes, but it's also the same requirements to maintain safety.
right.
And it just, that gets now split among multiple owners. And how does that work, whereas opposed, if it was Hillwood, it was a single owner who was going to take care of everything.
Well, is Tom Bott still in the room?
No, he had a planning
No.
meeting at 7.
He has a meeting.
Okay, yeah. Because I still feel firmly like what he was saying originally a number of meetings ago, what Hillwood promised back in the day, that's all gone. So like we have none of those securities moving forward. I think the important thing is that whoever George and Bob bring in as prospective clients, maybe we have to factor, we're talking back to the chiefs, both chief of police and fire and the water and all that, to get these extra engines to have the safety. I mean, we're talking about more police, more fire precautionary things. I mean, I think that's gone. I think it's going to rest on the town, but hopefully we can figure something out moving forward.
Yeah,
You just got to figure out a way to spread the burden. I mean, you can't make
Yeah.
the first two guys that
Exactly.
show up here pay for everything.
Right,
You have to
right.
figure out how to, you have to figure out what the overall plan, and it probably won't be the same as what Hillwood walked in here and said that they were going to pay.
No, it's
Yeah,
not,
no,
but,
it's not.
to Roger's point, though, but really, Roger, what's gone is the money, not the need.
Right? It's all,
Oh, yeah, I'm
I know, money's gone.
My only thought is more of the distribution of how you deal with it going forward. You're not just going to one entity and saying, I need
Right.
$2.5 million anymore. Now you got to figure out a way through taxes or whatever else. I don't know what this is going to look like, but
Right, but that becomes a bit of an, not an issue, but a problem in the sense of like a math problem of, as you build it out over the years, how you share that, how you reduce the share that the original people have to pay, and then spread that to the further tenants down the road. So it's not, when it was Hillwood, it was one company doing everything.
Yeah.
And so this is, if it starts with 2 tenants and those needs are there, before, if you've only got half of the property built out, but the needs are there for what the full property is, how do you get over that hump until everything else is built?
So if George puts in all the roads with all the, like he said, the infrastructure, that's 90% of the problem, isn't it?
No.
no.
No?
I think that's, the maintenance of a road pales in comparison to probably the rest of the stuff that you're going to talk about. When you start talking about police and fire and all that kind of stuff, it's
Okay.
going to be much more of I'm just talking off the top of my head, but when you're talking about burdens, plowing a road and some other stuff is not even close to what you're talking about as far as
Fire.
officers and fire and
Yeah.
trucks and.
Well, the EMT, the police, and the fire were the 3
Yeah.
ones that Hillwood.
But that being said, too, depending upon how you go through this development, you don't make up a number. Say if there was 6 extra police officers that you needed to do this, you don't need 6 out of the box if you're only building 2.
Correct.
So
Right.
it's a phased program
It's
you
more,
can
it's
put
more,
together.
it's more equipment, I think, you know, and I'm really talking specifically about the ladder truck.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's a couple $100,000 that you're talking about to buy one, and you can't really make the first two guys come in and pay.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
that's what, yeah, how do you divide it up? The potential is, I don't know, how you divide that up?
there's ways to do it.
There are, but it's going to require different thinking than what we did with.
Yeah, you're right. It's not one entity,
Yeah.
but we can figure it out.
There's always an equation, that will present itself. I mean, when you had Hillwood, you had one company willing to come in, build one space and meet all requirements, and a lot of people weren't happy. Now we're gonna have more tenants and more owners. They're gonna have that share buy-in, so they're gonna have some local people voting for them, that are gonna mean something when it comes to getting these big, cranes or whatever we're talking, ladder companies, et cetera, and facilities. So we just gotta hope that, maybe keep in the back of our minds that, this is a little bit less than half of the land, maybe. So if we're talking, when he gets to maybe 100, 50%, 70% land development, we've got to revisit all these things and say, well, we need these requirements met. They have to have more police on duty because of the work that's coming here. Or we need to look into, as a town, looking into getting an engine on our own, and then over time, making them help us pay for it. But it may not be them buying it for us as a gift, as it was, I think, originally
Special tax
negotiated. Am I correct?
Could be a special tax district. I mean, there's lots of ways to look at it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's its own zoning district, and there could be something in there.
Yeah, you just do an augmented tax that goes on top of, whatever the regular property taxes are. You
Yeah.
throw a surcharge on there, and that goes to start over time paying for what you're talking about.
So we have to be diligent, simply because what sticks in my mind, in the early events when we started with this, Plimpton came and they told us that they really weren't proactive. And they kind of sat back, and all of which was being built and so forth. And when Cisco started to run their refrigerations and making all this noise and stuff like that, they started to complain, which was a little late. Cisco turned around and gave him $250,000 and said, "See you later." And that's it. So when we started with our, in 2017 and 2015, actually, we as a committee said we have to be diligent, we have to pay attention, and we have to participate when we can with the planning board, and to make sure these kind of things are on, you can't sit back and relax, that's for sure. So we want to make sure our town is covered.
Well, what Bob Belbin said before is communication. We have to know what the planning board's doing. We have to understand from Tom and Bob, to a certain extent, what conversations they have with
Right.
with Bob Delholme and George McLaughlin, and make sure that we're not finding things out after the fact, that we've got skin in this game as well.
So let me ask you, Savory, when we first started with Hillwood, Rick LaFawn was the town administrator at the point. He just jumped right in, and he did not want Hillwood to go bouncing in and out of all these different departments. Remember how you met early mornings, 2-3 times a week, at least twice a week?
Well, that was, I think, due to the scale and the scope of the project as it was being done, and it was also involving all of the emergency people with large but smaller footprint buildings than what was originally proposed. I think the site review board is the only place that they're really going to have to go.
Okay.
And what I would love to be able to do is to have someone from here get a seat at that table, at least as an observer, so that we are kept up to date with what it is that they're trying to do there.
You mean the table of planning board or any board?
No, site review board.
Site review board?
Yeah.
That's planning? Site review?
It's its own thing. It involves emergency services. It involves the town engineers. It involves the town administrator. It involves the department heads, finance, conservation. It basically is they look at the plans that are developed. This is after, the property is set, but this is,
Would they do that for each individual landowner?
Yes.
One parcel
yes,
versus
they would do it for each individual
each individual?
building.
Okay.
Doesn't our attorney help us with that? I mean, to be aware of everything that's going on, is not one of the responsibilities that we pass
Well,
on?
let me just jump in, because I remember talking to Tom Bott, and he says, I gather the department heads, I don't invite board members.
I know he said that, but
I thought we should not have to have that happen. Do we have a consultant?
that was my next thing.
I knew.
I was going to go there.
Okay, go ahead.
What I don't think we need to participate in the site review plan, but I think we should be there. I think we should be there to understand everything that's being planned.
Okay, then that.
Is there any way to require that? Is there any way to require that with something from the town to say, listen, if we're working as part of this project, people need to keep us abreast of what's going on. So like as a project manager, everyone who's on your list, you have to communicate to, make sure that they've gotten all the information before any meetings can continue, and certain things don't occur if everyone isn't fully updated and prepared to whether discuss, argue, move forward. And we need somebody at that table, i.e. I know everyone on this board is not going to be any one of us, but we need somebody that is going to be handshaking with these people to understand what's going on, even if it is an update from Tom Bott's office or our own attorney. Don't we have somebody else other than Tom?
Well,
Who are you?
we talked about hiring a consultant, and if you remember, all of this hoorang started because of the person we chose.
Right.
Well, anyway,
I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
yeah, we
I
are.
think we are,
I
but
just think,
I just think we are, but we need to come back to terms about when this all starts up to make sure we're ready.
He's got months to go before he's even gonna get a
Yes.
P&S done, so.
but it doesn't help, it doesn't hurt to plant a seed now, and if communication is going to be as important as I think it's going to be, then, having Tom Bott come to us and tell us what happened at the meeting is not going to be the same as one of us sitting in that meeting and hearing every
Exactly,
word.
and that's what I meant. I remember when you guys, alternately between you, Pat Maha, and Sharon, you sat at that table and every time he met, and you knew exactly, because Sharon used to come back and give us an update, personally.
Right.
Or yourself, or Pat,
Yeah.
whomever.
Well, this
So-
is different. I just think that, I don't know if that could be made mandatory, Roger, but I think that we can make a good case for being included as a set of ears,
Right.
because I don't believe that they're televised. I don't believe that we can get to them.
They weren't initially with, All Hill was.
No, I'm talking about site review, which is
Oh,
different
I'm
than the
sorry.
special meetings we had with Hillwood.
Okay, sorry.
Site review plan is done for everything.
I got it.
Okay,
All right,
what's next?
okay.
All right, let's move on. Post-election reorganization. We are not going to do that until we get a full board. I called Shelby and Elaine and asked her if they could repost it, and when they reposted, to take out that time frame, and they did. And it says this now. It says, position open until filled.
Okay.
So that's what it
No
says.
problem.
All right.
Anyway, that's what it says. So the vacancy that has now been posted, and I just showed you what it is, and that's the way we're going. Does anybody object to the fact that
No.
we should have a full board? I didn't think you did.
No.
Okay, great. So that's no deadline. There's two treasurer's, actually, there's one treasurer's report. June didn't end yet, and it may, and I'm the one that's doing the treasury work. So, I want you to know that I've included and paid out to Kathleen O'Donnell $500 for her legal services. I also paid out, which hasn't shown up yet, but it will on the June statement, for Susan Hannon. But I did update the treasurer's report. And I did transfer $1,500. And so we now have in the checking account $1,528.99. In the money market account, it's $48,322.67. And the urban renewal plan is $1,280.53. I'd like somebody to make a motion to accept this treasurer's report.
Second.
Sorry, can you give me the urban renewal plan amount again?
Excuse me?
The urban renewal.
Oh, $1,280.53. You should have that in your packet also, so.
I didn't see it.
So I have a motion and I have a second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's passed. Thank you very much. Members' notes, I really don't have anything. We were lucky to have him come in. Bob Belvin did come in. Did anybody have anything that they wanted?
No, I'm glad we had George today.
Yeah.
That was good. And it's positive news, and I'm glad we're moving forward on that. Or he is.
Yeah, Roger, do you have anything you want to talk about or say?
No, I think it was a very good meeting.
Okay, great. How about you, Jim?
No, good.
You're good to
Yep.
go? I'm fine. All right, we have minutes to approve. The first one would be May 14th meeting. Have you all been able to read that?
Yeah.
I'd like a motion for an approval on that.
I motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 14th.
I'll second it.
Second, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And let's look at the April one now. That one's kind of short.
No, May was short, April's long.
April the other way around? Oh, okay.
April's quite long.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's when Bob Belvin came, yeah.
Luckily, it was a nice day, I was outside.
That was like huge. We had so much to talk about.
Yes.
I'm still working on that, by the way. I haven't gotten that done
All right,
yet.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 9th as written.
Second?
Second.
Second, I got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's been approved. Here we go. Next meeting, we were looking at our calendar. How about you, Savory? What's the big days for you for July? What do you think?
Well, I mean, we normally do the first Tuesday, which is
July 2nd.
July
July
2nd.
2nd.
That's a tough week maybe for people.
Probably going away.
4th of July week. I'm not, I'm around, I'm available. I'm available the 2nd and I'm available the 9th.
Yeah, I don't leave until,
I can do the 9th.
you can do the 9th?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Roger, are you good on the 9th?
Yeah, that's that Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay, Savory's good?
I'm good.
I'm good. So it'll be, next meeting will be July 9th at 6:30. Hopefully it'll be this room. If not, they'll tell us. And I guess that completes it. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You got a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 7:43 by my phone. Thank you.